a lot of the traumatic events that may have occurred during service time and how that actually impacts your life, current day. So, can you talk to us about the number 4 on the list that you have here?
Yeah, so one of the issues that we have here would be mental health, right? Uh, Mental ailments are very particular when speaking about them. There's so many different ways on how mental health could not only affect the veteran, but affect the people surrounding them as well. So when we're doing that, when we're going through that, I want you to understand that mental health is something that could be a claim that is being an aspect of a claim that's being service connected at a high rate. Okay, but it doesn't mean that you're going to get you're just going to be service connected. That's not how it works, right? There's certain guidelines, rules, expectations that need to be satisfied before being service connected. But mental health, mental ailments such as PTSD, right? Anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, so many different mental health ailments that come to you could possibly be service connected through the VA, pending on the events that transpired during military service. Again, military members are exposed to so many traumatic incidences that they become very numb to a lot of this stuff that most civilians won't understand. And it's not necessarily they're not understanding because they don't want to understand, because exposing this stuff becomes very sacred to them. And we can deal with embarrassment, we can deal with judgment, we can deal with anxiety of the people around us. So with that, mental health is a huge component, you know, and being able to get that service connected, that's something that's on the list, and it could very well, you can very well be dealing with those things and not even know it.
Absolutely, yeah. That's why it's always very important to go speak to your physicians, right? And speak to mental health professionals and just let them know that what you've been going through in service and what you've been going through in life, and don't try to self-diagnose yourself, right? Leave it in the hand of the professionals. Go ahead and talk to them, and they'll definitely kind of let you know, and you have an open space to really kind of unpack everything that's been going on with yourself.
No, true indeed. And also, it's very important that we get to it very quickly. Don't let it linger. I know it is very difficult for someone that who could have been, in a leadership position to be actually needing help. Sometimes the strong people needs the most help. Okay, so make sure that you're going to get checked on by your mental health providers, seeking that assistance that you may need. And don't be afraid to reach out to the VA crisis line. Okay, we're going to go ahead and place that number here in this video. So make sure you reach out to the VA crisis line at any point in time that you may need some attention, some extra attention, because it's very well there for you as a resource. We talk about these things, and I don't want to make light of this stuff, because it's not. As we have spoken about in many episodes before, our freedom is not free. And these are some of the actual things that our veterans go through on a regular basis behind curtains and behind the closed doors. So with that being said, make sure that you're taking the time to make sure you're well aware of what you're going through, and seeking the proper attention.
Absolutely. No, this is great here. So now with mental health, and we're talking about, PTSD, anxiety, depression, and you alluded to there being some stigmas behind actually getting those things service connected. And we won't go too far into like individual unemployability and different things like that. If you want to check that out, definitely we have other videos that delve into that. But just I wanted you to kind of unpack a little bit more about the stigmas regarding that, and especially for an individual in a leadership position, right? They want to continue working, they want to continue on with their life, but they just don't want to have the stigma of being diagnosed with PTSD. How would you encourage those veterans to still go ahead and go for that outreach and go ahead and actually apply for service connection?
Well, great question. Great question. There's so many different stigmas behind mental health. When we're talking about mental health, everyone, we're talking about it in a component where it can be at the lowest level severity, it can be at a higher level severity. Whatever your severity is, there shouldn't be any judgment or restrictions, particularly. Okay, obviously, each private or privatized organization or federal agencies has their guidelines on being accepted in an employment position. But typically, it doesn't affect most professions. Okay, it does not affect most professions, even though some may think it will. All right, so I do want to make sure that's one aspect of it, and another aspect of it as well is the Second Amendment rights. Right, um, I'll tell you right now, you know, I'm not here to say anything about our Second Amendment rights being whether it to be pro Second Amendment rights or pro Second Amendment rights. But what I am saying is that as long as you're not deemably rated as an incompetent in nature, your Second Amendment rights will still be able to be enacted and be available to you. Okay. No one has a crystal ball on being able to tell the future. Okay. But your Second Amendment rights will be available to you if, again, you're rated for a mental health ailment without being rated incompetent. How do you be rated incompetent? Well, how we do so is not being able to manage your financial affairs, okay, which will deemably rate you as incompetent or have some incompetency tied to it, okay? Not being able to take your medications, okay, as noted, at that point, you could be rated incompetent, okay? But once you're rated incompetent, it is not in finality. Okay, you can challenge that. Okay, and by providing evidence to show that your competency. All right, but we can get that's an entirely separate section in itself, which we'll get more into. But with that, that's a second stigma that typically aligns with that. And I think the third, ultimately, is judgment. Judgment. We don't want to be judged by our peers, by our comrades, our colleagues. We don't want to be judged. So when I tell you, when we're talking about embarrassment or judgment of a mental health ailment, 9 times out of 10, if there were a brother or sister in arms, they're probably dealing with some of the same things that you're dealing with. So never be afraid. Never be afraid. Be a leader. And now go ahead and get your care that you need, and also get what you deserve because you were exposed to some things that may or may not be traumatic to yourself.
Awesome, Kenneth. Awesome. So yeah, we're definitely halfway through with the list here, and now I really want to kind of delve into it.